Hey everybody, this is Grace. Thought I'd come out here to my chill mobile, as I call it, in such a mature fashion. But it is, it's how I chill out. Had drama with the dogs. Anyway, in this video I'm going to do more on this series I've been doing with, it's mainly about, when it comes down to it's a whole series, it's actually a whole story. There's more than one series to it. And yeah, there's more than one series. I'm going to put them all on one different channel I haven't used much at all ever. And actually I made it in August. I think that, yeah, I made it in August. And really didn't use it. I was having troubles with my channels. But anyway, I'm going to put them all, the series all together, so it will make more sense. And anyway, I've been listening through my videos that I had on this one channel and trying to schedule them out. I mentioned I had 1.51 videos I had uploaded and hadn't made public because I had to wait till after Adam. He works from home after he got off the computer because of crazy Wi-Fi issues. I asked again the other day when our Wi-Fi went out in the warm and said I'd never heard of that. But anyway, in this series, like I said, you know, it's mainly about narcissistic abuse. It's a full story about it. Some would just call it narcissistic abuse. It's really like dysfunctional families, different types of, some of them are psychopaths in this story. Some are really good, decent people too. And if you've ever watched or read books, like it's even romance novels, they will always have that one person at least who's doing, you know, who's narcissistic or psychopathic or, you know, so on and so forth. But the other rest of the story is not as bad. And, but this is a combination. Different types, different things. Anyway, what I've been doing is on, the one I've done most on, is about Paige. It's a small town drama, and it's about Paige, and these are fictional, you know. Any resemblance to any person living or dead is purely coincidental situations. The only thing that's, you know, would be real, of course, is stuff like the state of Texas or, you know, United States, that kind of thing. You know, the rest of it, the names of the towns are fictional. The county is fictional. The situations, like I said, the events and so forth, fictional. So it's just purely coincidental if it's happened to anybody before. Anyway, in this one, in one of them, I was going through them and I did not find this one yet. I haven't run across it. When I talked about, for one thing, there was a character I kept saying her name is Sari. Well, that's what she wears. Okay. And I mentioned that in one of the videos I haven't run across yet, but her real name is Eva. You know, her real fictional name is Eva. For some reason I kept saying Sari. You know, I had named her that, apparently. But it was Eva. Anyway, so in this part of it, in that last part I mentioned, that she basically started as a, as a volunteer. Paige is one that helped to organize the, this volunteer service. They do basically care packages, you know, like for women or men in shelters, you know, people who are in need. It's a wealthy county, and you know they don't have many people who would be in need, but you never know, you know, like in case of divorce or something like that. And Paige is a member of a group that some call them the original members group, but they just call one another, if anything other than their names, they call them, you know, another member. And they were the original ones going back like 40 years maybe. As much as 40 years, somewhere around there. And Paige is one of them, and she's real high up in it. But they don't go around telling people. You know, some people would know, but they don't always tell, you know, everybody else. And as it is, you know, they have a whole major organization going on. They help so many people and help build businesses, and then everybody gets like a piece of the pie. Not, you know, the same amount. Just depends. And they call them dividend checks. And she and Paige and Derek are the two main ones. You know, like, think way back then that people thought of them more as along the line of prom king and queen. And even so, as that, they don't know everything, and they don't know everybody. They don't know everybody who's involved. It mainly was in their town, but then they spread out over the years. And plus they got connected to other people in other cities, states, and then eventually worldwide. Okay, and Eva is one that came from a different country. And she, in this story, she was one to, she called Paige to ask Paige if she could do this volunteer service. And she wanted, something, because the women work, the older women work in the middle of the day. And because of the pandemic and all, they added a different first shift. They were first shift, but then they added one in the morning for the men to work. And then I was calling it the second shift. The second shift was, like younger people. But then they had to add that first one, earlier in the morning for the men to do. So the women in the middle, they're usually like, say, 45 years old and older. And Paige is 57. So that's enough of that little background. Okay. Now I have some of these written out better, so hopefully they'll start flowing better. I'm going to start writing them out, actually more than just notes. I'm going to write them out. And maybe I'll make this a separate one because I want to write the rest of this story out. But I did want to make sure that I made this correction about, Eva is not, her name is not Sorry. So, but some of the things about Eva is that she is trying to get a divorce. Okay, she's, she, like I said, from a different country. And in this story, the ones who come from a different country or different state or outside of that county, even just in the same state but outside of the county, and they want to move to the county, the elders that are not these members, but the elders, they wanted to keep all the the original settlers, the original founders, they wanted to keep all the property in their name, in people who were descendants of them. Okay, and that was written into their rules, of the county when they bought it, that it has to stay in the family in a sense. They had eight original families, and then they had some of their families come on, their family members and all that. So they wanted to keep it. But then, some of these members, they are also, the members, that's two separate things, the elders and members, they are also descendants. Now, they all can own property there, property, houses, whatever, businesses. But anybody from the outside that wants to move in, they weren't allowing them to move in. Okay, they weren't allowing them to buy property there. They had to rent or something like that. But because of the work as time went by, the original members, what they were doing, they needed more people, and they were really doing a good job for the elders, keeping, they're computer people, okay, computer gurus. And they were doing so much that helped the elders that they decided with one of them, there was one of them that they said that there's a area that wasn't very populated, that she could buy, some property there. Her name's Grace, like mine. And so she and her family could live there. Okay. And she had, that's a separate story. That's going to be a separate story. Anyway, but eventually Eva and her husband, came from a different country, moved in, were able, more and more people were able to buy from that area that were outside of the county that were members. Over time, they started allowing them, opening up more and more areas because they were seeing how much they were doing, how they were benefiting everybody who lived there in the county. And it wasn't just financial. Financially, they also have such great security. They have a whole business that teaches everybody from bodyguards to anything that had to do with law enforcement at all, and it's called the enforcement. And anybody who did, and everybody, if they were a member, and they, had new information. They had their own bodyguard or bodyguards, and so anyway, I mean, there's so many details to this, and eventually they'll start coming out. But as far as Eva, she decided she wanted to divorce her husband, and he just wasn't the way, the type that she wanted to be with, and she thought he was turning kind of abusive. Now, as a member, both of them being members, not honorary, but both being members. Like sometimes if a person like Grace, she's a original member, but her, anybody in her her children would be in it if they wanted to be. Now, a husband or a, boyfriend, whatever, if they live together, anything like that, they would be honorary members. Yes, I told you too much detail. I want to get some of this detail out. Anyway, as far as Eva, I'll get to her. She wanted to divorce her husband, and it was just she and her husband. They were in like their 50s, and I don't know how Eva. Didn't write her down her age, but so when she called to, they have a service. Well, she didn't know that it's Paige's service that takes all kinds of, calls, like when a woman wants to leave her husband and wants to get a divorce and they're both members, or, like if somebody wants to go to the shelter, somebody who's a member, as long as they're a member, they call this certain number, and it's Paige's service. Just, you can call it service or system. And then she makes the appropriate call to the appropriate person. Usually it's Derek, and then Derek will go over it and do research, and then he'll send it to the enforcement. Jim is the one that runs it. But anyway, Paige also, Paige herself got a call from this woman wanting to do, Eva wanting to do volunteers. So because Eva had called the service, Paige found out about it, so Paige knows that Eva is a member, and it's going to bring about complications. So she has to, Paige has to call Derek to talk it over, and to tell him that here are two members. One is trying to escape, and she's going to need the enforcement involved, Eva, and then the other one is also a member. So it's a brings about these complications, and financial and otherwise. So that's something I wanted to get out. And for the next one, like I said, I'm going to try to write them out because I'm much better at reading, and then I can stay on task with everything. But I do have, like I was saying, I do have other parts of the story, and they're going to be, the collection of them. I'm not sure exactly where I will put them, on which channel, but when I do, I'll make sure. And at the end of the videos, there are thumbnails, like rectangles, that will have other videos or other playlists that you can read or watch more of these stories. Some of them are verbal, some of them are written on PowerPoint slides. Whew, man. Yeah. But anyway, I just wanted to mention that this is kind of like a little bit of a notes, but a little bit of the story at the same time. And this is about Eva. I wanted to clarify that. Like I said, I hadn't found the video I made. I might have deleted it, but I had made that correction in that video. So I think that's all. That's enough for this one. I'll talk to you on another video. Bye.